The Bible speaks a lot about the end of the world. It uses words like end times and last days. These writings give people warnings and hope. Many parts of the Bible describe what the end will look like. Some of these parts are symbolic, and others are direct. Several books in the Bible discuss the end of the world. One of the most famous is the book of Revelation. This book is filled with visions and symbols. It talks about the return of Jesus, a final judgment, and a new heaven and earth. Other books also mention the end. The book of Daniel talks about future events. Jesus' words in Matthew 24 give details about signs of the end. Paul's letters, like 1 Thessalonians, also provide insight. Jesus spoke about signs to watch for. In Matthew 24, he said there would be wars, earthquakes, and famines. He also mentioned false prophets and people claiming to be the Messiah. These things would cause fear and confusion. The Bible also talks about moral decay. 2 Timothy 3 verses 1 to 5 describes people becoming selfish and cruel. It says they will love money, be ungrateful, and reject God. This behavior would mark the last days. Another sign is the spread of the gospel. Matthew 24 verse 14 says the gospel will be preached to the whole world. Only then will the end come. One of the central ideas in the Bible's teaching on the end is the return of Jesus. Christians believe Jesus will come back to earth. This is sometimes called the second coming. Acts 1 verse 11 says Jesus will return in the same way he went to heaven. Revelation 19 describes him coming as a king and judge. He will defeat evil and establish his kingdom. No one knows when Jesus will return. Matthew 24 verse 36 says only God the Father knows. People are told to stay ready and live in a way that honors God. The Bible says there will be a final judgment. Revelation chapter 20 talks about a great white throne judgment. People will stand before God. Books will be opened, and everyone will be judged based on their deeds. Believers in Jesus have hope. They believe their sins are forgiven because of Jesus' sacrifice. Revelation chapter 21 verse 27 says, "Nothing impure will enter God's kingdom. Only those whose names are in the book of life will enter." After the judgment, the Bible says there will be a new heaven and earth. Revelation chapter 21 describes this in detail. It says, God will live with his people. There will be no more death, pain, or tears. The new creation will be perfect. It will be free from sin and evil. This gives hope to those who trust in God. It shows that the end is not something to fear, but something to look forward to. The Bible mentions a figure called the Antichrist. This person will rise during the end times. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 describes the Antichrist as someone who opposes God. He will deceive many people. Revelation chapter 13 talks about a beast who works with the Antichrist. This beast will demand worship and control the economy. The famous mark of the beast is mentioned here. Without this mark, people cannot buy or sell. But the Bible says the Antichrist's reign will not last. Jesus will defeat him when he returns. The end of the world sounds scary, but the Bible offers hope to believers. It says God is in control, he has a plan, and nothing happens without his permission. Romans chapter 8 verse 28 says all things work for the good of those who love God. Even in hard times, believers can trust that God is with them. Revelation chapter 22 ends with a promise. Jesus is coming soon. This gives believers a reason to stay faithful. The Bible's teachings about the end are not just for the future. They also impact how people live today. Knowing that Jesus could return at any time encourages believers to live wisely. Matthew chapter 25 has a parable about 10 virgins waiting for a bridegroom. Some were prepared and others were not. This story reminds people to stay ready. It means living a life that honors God every day. The Bible also encourages believers to share their faith. 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 9 says, God is patient, not wanting anyone to perish. This shows the importance of telling others about Jesus. Many people have tried to predict the end of the world, but the Bible warns against this. Jesus said, "No one knows the day or hour." Trying to set dates leads to confusion and disappointment. Instead of focusing on when the end will come, the Bible says to focus on being faithful. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58 says, "To stand firm and give yourself fully to God's work." This is the best way to prepare for the end. The Bible has a lot to say about the end of the world. It talks about signs, judgment, and hope. It reminds people that God is in control. While the end may seem frightening, believers can find comfort in God's promises. Living in a way that honors God is the best response to these teachings. It means staying ready, sharing faith, and trusting in God's plan. The end of the world is not the end for believers. It is the beginning of something new and perfect.